They said it would never happen, that the relentless violence devouring the heart of Central Africa was destined to endure forever. For years, witnesses of the bloodshed in the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda whispered that any dream of lasting peace was just too far-fetched. Yet here we stand on the brink of what some are calling a monumental change, a peace agreement brokered with the surprising involvement of the United States. Suddenly, leaders are traveling across oceans to talk about a better future. Entire communities are daring to hope, and the world is asking one crucial question. Could the era of conflict in this troubled region finally be coming to an end? Today we will dive deep into the undercurrents of this startling deal, explore how critical minerals have become the centerpiece of high-stakes strategies, and unravel how the M23 militia's exclusion might threaten the entire arrangement. Buckle up, because what is unfolding here touches everything, from global technology to the everyday fate of families who have lived with gunfire and instability for far too long. Long before any official handshake, the tensions between Rwanda and the Democratic Republic of the Congo simmered for decades, fueled by historical grievances, economic rivalries, and a past that still haunts modern relations. The conflict spread its roots so aggressively that it even had the power to redraw alliances thousands of miles away. As foreign observers unearthed the role of tantalum, tungsten, and coltan in feeding the technology sector, the region's extraordinary mineral wealth became more of a curse than a blessing. Time and again, mining profits trickled into the hands of warlords, creating a vicious circle of desperation and fear for innocent civilians trying to eke out a living within the shadows of armed groups. Meanwhile, global powers looked on with measured interest, occasionally touting condemnation, but often prioritizing economic interests above the pursuit of lasting peace. Then, as if by some twist of fate, the United States government, eager to secure a foothold in critical minerals, stepped in. And just like that, what was once considered improbable began to crystallize. President Donald Trump, famously known for his bold statements and unconventional diplomatic style, seized the moment. "It's been a long time waiting," he declared, stirring a mix of anticipation and skepticism around the world. People suspected that the administration's motivations were tied substantially to the precious minerals that power modern defense systems, smartphones, and just about every piece of technology imaginable. After all, with the growing push for electric vehicles and other cutting-edge innovations, ensuring a steady pipeline of raw materials has become a top priority for major global players. China, for instance, wields formidable influence over cobalt access, sending ripples of anxiety through Western capital markets and government agencies. Could the New Deal possibly shift the balance of power, or is Washington simply eager to bite off its own piece of the mineral bonanza? Even more dramatically, could the region's fate be shaped by corporate alliances formed in quiet meeting rooms half a world away? The stage is set in a place where the stakes are all too real. The Democratic Republic of the Congo is blessed with unimaginable mineral resources, yet suffers under the weight of deeply entrenched poverty, rampant corruption, and violent insurgencies. At the forefront of these insurgencies is the M23 militia, a rebel group accused of unleashing torrents of suffering in eastern Congo. Their infiltration of Goma and Bukavu not long ago shook the entire country. Families fled in terror, thousands were displaced, and the horizon seemed painted with the color of hopelessness. Children lost their schools to rebel occupation, hospitals ran short on supplies, and entire towns recounted stories of unimaginable brutality. Outside governments condemned these events, but for local inhabitants, empty condemnation offered little solace. And even though this fresh deal promises to end cross-border enmities, the exclusion of M23 from the negotiating table raises the grim possibility that real peace may remain elusive. So, what exactly does the deal entail? According to the official statements, the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda promise to respect each other's borders and to cease any overt or covert support of hostile groups. The arrangement also aims to open avenues for American investments in Congolese mines, ensuring that these valuable ores find a secure path to global markets. Observers are already speculating that these new alliances could reduce China's dominance in cobalt and other strategic materials. However, the phrase "devil is in the details" rings particularly true here. Skeptics point out that neither of these neighboring nations can wave a magic wand to dissolve decades of suspicion overnight. And what of the mines themselves? For far too long, they have operated like shadow economies, with informal labor systems, child workers, and shady operators who funnel profits into more weapons. Will this new arrangement clamp down on those ugly truths, or will we soon witness yet another exploitative gold rush under a polished diplomatic veneer? If you're enjoying this deep look into how minerals, militants, and global politics intertwine, consider showing a little support. Let us know by offering a thumbs up or a quick like, because your feedback helps us continue uncovering the hidden webs that shape our world. And believe me, the story is only getting started. There is plenty more to unravel, from the suspicious side of international arms deals to the silent pleas of communities that have felt the full force of war's cruelty. So, stay with us. Together, we'll shed light on the secrets behind this abrupt turn toward diplomacy and find out if it's truly more than just a mirage. Now, to understand the complexities here, it's crucial to see the bigger geopolitical chessboard. China has held considerable influence over the Democratic Republic of the Congo's cobalt industry, forging agreements that let Chinese companies tap into the Congolese ground in return for massive infrastructure projects. Roads, bridges, and buildings quickly sprouted, but at what cost? With allegations of exploitative practices still swirling, some argue that the arrangement looked more like a slick business transaction than a truly ethical partnership. Meanwhile, Russia, with its ambitions for a revived stature on the global stage, has also floated around the region. Whispers of arms shipments to both sides have circulated for years, fueling suspicions and turning Congolese citizens into pawns in a greater international power struggle. Could a strong new alliance between the United States, Rwanda, and the Democratic Republic of the Congo disrupt these entrenched forces? Or will it provoke renewed competition among outside powers, leading to even more precarious conditions on the ground? Of course, peace deals are not shaped by minerals and foreign policy alone. The day-to-day lives of citizens matter, and those stories often go untold. Imagine a mother in eastern Congo, waking every morning uncertain whether her village will remain safe by nightfall. Her children may be the primary breadwinners, forced to toil in primitive mines just to earn enough for a single meal. Because conflict zones typically lack strong rule of law structures, criminal enterprises flourish and local governments struggle to maintain order. Smugglers buy minerals at exploitative rates, warlords pocket the profits, and legitimate traders are pushed aside. At times, well-intentioned interventions from abroad only scratch the surface because they fail to address the most fundamental needs: transparent governance and robust accountability. Real progress demands more than just a piece of paper proclaiming, "We have peace now." It requires a genuine commitment to building courts, improving regulations, and rooting out corruption so that investment funds do not vanish before they ever reach local communities. As soon as the foreign ministers of both countries signed the preliminary outlines of the so-called Washington Accord, analysts around the globe scrambled for insights. Typically, Africa-based negotiations have experienced a high rate of false starts, so observers were cautious. Yet the symbolism was potent. Photographs of Congolese and Rwandan delegates shaking hands under the watchful gaze of American mediators. The sense of ceremony almost overshadowed the absent actors, the M23 militia, definitively not part of the conversation. Some might chalk that up to realpolitik. Perhaps the group is simply too radical or untrustworthy for diplomatic proceedings. But that omission has left many uneasy. Could the militia group see this sidelining as a challenge, escalating its campaign as a violent demonstration of its power? Or worse, could it forge secret alliances with other factions to sabotage any progress, thereby creating an explosive new dimension to an already fragile situation? Adding to the intrigue is the U.S. invitation for Rwandan President Paul Kagame and Democratic Republic of the Congo President Felix Tshisekedi to travel to the White House for an official signing ceremony. The potential for spectacle is high, cameras capturing triumphant smiles, speeches about cooperation, and a statement reaffirming Washington's focus on Africa. Eager to shape a foreign policy win, the Trump administration might treat this moment like a major victory celebration. However, caution is warranted. Beyond the pageantry, can these leaders genuinely deliver on the promise to halt cross-border conflicts? Will local communities on the ground truly see a positive difference? Or might the event become a fleeting photo opportunity, overshadowed by pressing crises elsewhere in the world? In the labyrinth of foreign policy deals, good press can be a reward in itself. but enduring solutions take much more dedication. One aspect hearing plenty of buzz is the question of long-term governance reforms in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Historically, foreign investors and governments have poured money into massive resource extraction, turning a blind eye to the underlying causes of conflict. Over time, this approach almost guaranteed that corruption would go unchecked. Transparent systems of checks and balances never took root. Even in relatively calmer periods, warlords and local strongmen could manipulate or outright control mining operations, creating a parallel economy. Now, as the New Deal promises the United States unprecedented access to critical minerals, a growing chorus of experts insists that real reforms must go hand in hand with commercial gains. They call for auditing Congolese mining sectors, establishing credible oversight committees, and stamping out the unscrupulous business practices that have historically plagued the region. Indeed, if these measures are neglected, the story could become merely another chapter in a long saga of exploitation. But what about the broader implications for Africa's future? Some commentators see the Democratic Republic of the Congo as a linchpin for stability across the continent. If the country manages to harness its resources responsibly, it might become a catalyst for broader economic development in neighboring countries, improving roads, facilitating trade, and creating new job markets. Conversely, if the new peace collapses, the aftershocks will almost certainly reverberate beyond the region. Already, other African nations watch with a mixture of hope and anxiety, wondering if lessons from this peace process might be applied to their own border disputes and lingering insurgencies. Perhaps a glimmer of optimism is warranted, but it remains overshadowed by caution. After all, conferences to end conflict in the Democratic Republic of the Congo have been held on multiple occasions, with fleeting measures and uncertain results. Still, the stakes now are arguably bigger than ever before, given the surging global demand for cobalt, tungsten, and other minerals that define modern technology. If you feel as compelled by this complex dance of hope and uncertainty as we do, take a moment to subscribe. That simple action helps ensure you will not miss our next deep dive into the evolving journey of African politics and international negotiations. We promise to bring you the on-the-ground perspectives and nuanced discussions that you crave, cutting through diplomatic niceties to confront the raw realities. And remember, your support can shine a spotlight on issues that might otherwise remain in the dark. Where does the M23 militia fit into this puzzle? The group claims it fights for the rights of certain marginalized populations, but many see it simply as an armed organization that thrives on chaos. Its fighters have been implicated in horrifying human rights violations, displacing countless families and fueling a near-constant atmosphere of dread. From forcibly recruiting children into their ranks to seizing strategic towns, M23's track record offers scant evidence of interest in peaceful reconciliation. Nevertheless, the militia's involvement looms large. A peace deal that excludes M23 might be doomed if its leaders consider themselves spurned and decide to intensify their campaign of attacks. This tension underscores the precarious balancing act for the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda, as well as for the outside powers that have suddenly stepped in with their own interests. Meanwhile, critics warn that even larger geopolitical plans may be at play. Could the United States be seeking to undercut China's near monopoly in cobalt and other rare materials by forging a direct partnership with Congolese mines? If so, does that objective overshadow genuine concern for war-weary populations? The answer may lie in how swiftly and effectively the new arrangement addresses rampant child labor, environmental destruction, and the suffering endured by mining communities. Despite official pledges to protect human rights and curb exploitation, examples from the past provide reasons for skepticism. It will take unwavering political pressure, consistent funding for essential programs, and transparency from all parties to transform the region from a perpetual conflict zone into a stable environment that fosters progress. Diplomacy alone does not transform centuries of exploitation overnight, and it definitely does not neutralize well-armed militias through mere signatures on a page. Yet hope is a powerful thing, and even a bruised hope can inspire transformations that once seemed out of reach. The people of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda deserve security, economic opportunity, and a respite from the constant threat of violence. This U.S.-brokered agreement, aiming to reframe the entire landscape of cross-border relations, emerges as a beacon. The combination of a ceasefire, mutual recognition of borders, and a promise to tackle illicit resource exploitation is extraordinary on paper. The question now is whether the participants will show the political courage and moral integrity needed to follow through. Implementation requires close monitoring by international bodies, the building of institutional resilience, and the unwavering will of local communities who have fought nearly impossible battles for justice. If they can see even subtle improvements, fewer armed checkpoints, safer roads, or more secure job opportunities, the optimism might spread. But so could disillusion if these developments remain superficial. As we stand on this cusp of change, the region's future hangs in the balance. Through every promise of renewed stability, through every handshake in Washington, and through every small sign of progress in a rural Congolese village. Nobody is suggesting that war is simply over, or that militias will vanish because of a single agreement. The real test is whether the leadership in both the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda can restore trust in governance, push for accountability, and ensure laws apply equally to all. Doing so might well bring the vital, albeit fragile, chance to break the cycle of suffering. And from a global standpoint, if the arrangement stands firm, we might see a new equilibrium in the supply of critical minerals, one that reduces dependency on a single supplier or region and adds a touch of stability to an increasingly chaotic international marketplace. We've traversed a long path in this story, but the journey is far from finished. Will the M23 militia respond with renewed aggression, or could alternative talks bring them under the new umbrella of peace? Could China and Russia see their existing footholds erode, prompting them to compete more fiercely with the United States for African partnerships? And perhaps most crucially, can the Congolese people finally catch their breath and begin mapping out a future free from the deafening echoes of gunfire? Only time will tell whether this delicate framework can achieve, or even approach, the promises laid out in official statements. There might be unforeseen twists, dramatic showdowns, and at least a few disheartening setbacks along the way. But for many in the region, the very notion of a future that is not overshadowed by daily uncertainty and fear is powerful enough to keep hope alive. Thank you for journeying with us so far. These are real lives, real choices, and potentially world-shaking consequences all wrapped into one evolving crisis. The facts are heavy, and the potential outcomes are vast. If you're as determined as we are to see how the next steps unfold, stay connected. There is so much more to uncover as events progress. Above all, remember that in an era where minerals power our handheld devices and shape our militaries, the story of the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda is not just a distant drama. It is intimately connected to us all. Our cords and circuits, our batteries and screens, the entire infrastructure of modern life may hinge on the success or failure of this seemingly fragile truce. Only by watching closely, asking hard questions, and demanding accountability can we ensure this moment of hope transforms into a genuine path toward a peaceful tomorrow.